Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey.
Jonathan Voico.
Hey, what's been stolen can never be stolen again.
Chris, that's not true. Chris Carr is here.
It can be.
And, of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And the good news about the tip link is that it's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our show on our podcast feed, either on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question to that tip link anytime 24/7. And if you send one in when we're not actually live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. Oh boy, I'm excited about tomorrow. It's double D day.
Double D for you.
Double servings of Daredevil tomorrow. 2 episodes of
Is that what it is?
dropping tomorrow.
Ray and I were somewhere else.
It's 2 episodes of Daredevil tomorrow. Episodes, what is it, 5 and 6? Yes, 5 and 6 dropping tomorrow. Very excited about
back
that.
to back.
Again, of course, guys, keep your guys' eyes open because tomorrow night after the Daredevil episodes, we'll be doing our Daredevil post-game show. Keep your guys' eyes open for that. All right. That down, guys. Let's get things started off. We're going to kick off with this. Andor. Of course, season 1 came out and defied all the odds. And actually, for a genre series, got the highest honor bestowed upon it. It was actually nominated at the Emmys for Best Drama Series. And I still contend today that Andor is the single best thing Star Wars has ever put out since Return of the Jedi. So, because obviously it's the original trilogy, far and away above everything else. But since the original trilogy, I think Andor is simply the best thing Star Wars has ever done. And now season 2 is coming. We've already had some nice looking spots, but this morning they dropped a new trailer for it. And they're highlighting the Emmy stuff. And listen, I'm just going to straight up say it, and it's kind of in the title of this thing. This show is already an Emmy, like a top Emmy contender. In my opinion, they are going for it. Full blast. The other spot they dropped the other week was great. But this whole thing, you know what really got me the most about this trailer? Mon Mothma. The desperation and almost futility as like she's urging a galaxy that refuses to see it, that this tyrant is about to dominate the galaxy and instill the evil empire and all that kind of stuff, and nobody will listen to her. And of course, then going back to Skarsgård, who I thought was one of the best characters on television, with that monologue he gave about I burn my life for a sunset that I'll never see, or a sunrise that I'll never see. Like that whole monologue, one of the best monologues I've ever heard in any television show ever. And we know K2SO is going to show up at some point this season. Alan Tudyk is going to pop up as K2SO. Cannot wait for that. And this just looks amazing. This whole trailer looks so good. Anyway, Chris, you just had a chance to watch the new trailer for Andor.
Just now.
What did you think about it?
Oh, it's great. This show really just won me over because, as you guys know, unpopularly, I do not love Rogue One. It is not the film that I really like drive with Star Wars. And the Andor series has been really great. I love all the tertiary characters. I love everyone else in the mix here. I'm excited because I think season 2 is where he's going to win me over. Yeah. Because I love Diego Luna. But I found Andor to be probably the least interesting character in his own show. And I feel like now I'm seeing, okay, he's stepping into being a part of the rebellion and really taking ownership of his place in the galaxy and what he wants to fight for and what he stands for. And that's really exciting. I love seeing more Skarsgård in here because like you, I think he's incredible. I'm just hoping we see a lot of him. Because I just felt like towards the end I didn't get enough of him anymore. And it's probably because he had those killer monologues.
Yeah, those great moments. So you're like, give me more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me being greedy and they need to just pepper him in when they can. And I'm really intrigued too to see Forrest Whitaker and really step into that role again as well. So this really just kind of further moves the needle to me getting very excited about it.
I just enjoyed the amount of walking that's going on in this show. If you didn't like Diego Luna in this, have you ever seen The Terminal?
Oh my God.
That might be hands down his best work.
He's good.
Yeah, he
He's
hits
good.
on Zoe Saldana the whole time. You know, it's great. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out.
Well done.
I hear it's
Brandon.
one of Spielberg's best.
What's the love interest? Is it Bix?
Bix, yeah.
Oh,
Bix, yeah.
she was so good in season 1, and I was kind of worried that they were just going to kind of brush her off to the side going into season 2. But clearly, she is going to be a major part of this season as well.
She was the one that was getting tortured, right?
Yeah.
For a Star Wars show or just anything Star Wars, that was a little hard to watch too.
Well, I mean, it kind of embodied what the whole show was. Like, I remember when I first saw it, my first response and reaction to it was, this is the first Star Wars. I mean, all Star Wars is for grown-ups and kids. It's for everybody, right? But I said, Andor is the first real Star Wars thing that is truly made for grown-ups. Mm-hmm. And that scene is kind of an encapsulation, if you will, of that philosophy. That this is for, I mean, they go for the hardcore drama in this. This is, I mean, I'm sure that younger people can enjoy it too. It's just that oh my God, I just think it's so, it's the first Star Wars thing that felt like it was made for HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's the highest compliment
Absolutely.
I can give it.
It touched emotions that you never thought you would get from a Star Wars show.
A Star Wars show, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to get deeper and more hardcore and all this kind of stuff. And again, the fact that we're getting director Krennic in this, I think is
Hell yeah.
oh beautiful. And the line of the trailer, I think it was Bix who said, "If I'm going to sacrifice everything, I want to win." And I'm like, that's such a great line. It's such a great line. Anyway, what's up?
I was going to ask, is there any other characters you're looking forward to come back or maybe
Obviously,
make an appearance? Or
yeah, more of Bix. Obviously, K2SO we've already kind of mentioned. It is a long outside shot, but I would love to see Andy Serkis's character come back.
Yeah.
Because we never see him die.
Right.
What about Donnie Yen and those
We won't
characters?
see them because
I don't think we're going to see them.
No,
I mean,
because we found them kind of like on the street.
yeah, they
That would be really
pick up.
cool.
They assemble later.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would honestly feel kind of forced.
Gimmicky, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think because when you realize how we meet them,
Yeah.
Oh, right.
they're
okay, I
very
completely
local
forgot.
to that one location. They come across that right. They clearly have never had any interaction with, Andor or anything like that. So it would feel kind of forced if they were to put them in. I love the characters, but it would feel forced to put them in. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the new trailer for Andor? I clearly loved it. What did you guys think about it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, there's a James Bond update. Of course, James Bond is now fully under the creative control of Amazon and MGM Studios as the Broccoli's signed over the creative rights for $1 billion on top of all the other money they made with it in the distribution deal with Amazon. So they walked away with a ton of money. But the big question has been, who's going to be the new James Bond? Who's going to direct it? But who's going to kind of shepherd this new James Bond era for MGM and Amazon? Who's going to kind of be the Kevin Feige of the new James Bond era? Because it was the Broccoli's and it has been for decades and decades and decades. They're not there anymore. Well, according to a report in Variety that came out late last week, Spider-Man producer and former head of Sony Pictures and Harry Potter films producer, Amy Pascal and David Heyman, according to a report in Variety, are being looked at to be the heads of the new James Bond franchise. Variety wrote this: Amy Pascal and David Heyman may be enlisted to help Amazon MGM Studios oversee the James Bond franchise, Variety has confirmed. The pair are described as being quote-unquote in talks. No deal can be signed, however, until the streamer finalizes his pact to buy creative control from Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson. Of course, the deal has been made. They just have to final execute it. The producers whose family has overseen all things 007 for decades. Pascal, the former head of Sony, has reinvented herself as one of the industry's most successful producers since she left the job in 2015. In addition to producing the Spider-Man franchise, that's Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home franchise, she's also involved in critical hits such as Challengers, Little Women. At Sony, Pascal oversaw the studio's deal to distribute several Bond films, including Skyfall, the highest-grossing movie in the history of the Spy series. And of course, David Heyman has done a ton of stuff, but most notably, the main producer behind all things Harry Potter, and from what we understand, that was kind of successful. That worked out pretty well. All right.
I still got to catch all that. I'm behind on Harry Potter.
A little behind on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Got to get caught up.
I hear it's good.
I don't know why this past weekend I came home and Anne was sitting around waiting for me to get home, and she had the one where Dumbledore dies.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's my
like-
favorite.
Oh my God, Jonathan, did you know?
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Oh my gosh,
Sorry.
Sean.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Minor
Oh,
character.
no.
That's a really good
As
movie.
long as the hero dies in it, that's my favorite.
That's a really good movie. Look, I know one of the common and popular things to do is to bash on Amy Pascal. But in reality, she has produced and shepherded some of the most successful stuff out there. Now remember, she's not a creative. Like, she is truly a producer. Like, she knows how to bring in people and all that kind of stuff. And she's got wins and losses on her record like anybody else. But the very fact that she's got a number of Oscars on her name as well. It's what are you going to get with Amy Pascal? Who knows? David Heyman is the name that really interests me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name that really interests me. Now, of course, this is all we're talking about the people who will be in charge now of getting the directors who are going to direct it. They are not going to direct these movies.
James Bond, too.
The James Bond films.
No, James Bond. Are they in charge of getting James Bond casting?
Probably yes. Yep. They will probably be the people who will be in charge of making the decision of who will be James Bond.
Oh, okay.
Because you're not going to get one director who's going to be in for one movie to
Right.
make that decision that you're then
You got
stuck
to do that
with
over the franchise.
for the
Yes.
next, 20 years or 15 years or 10 years or whatever. So these people, whoever get hired in this position, will probably be the ones to pick who James Bond was going to be. And I'm not saying he will, unless Jeff Bezos wants to make that choice personally. Because it is his thing. It's his thing. And he
yeah.
loves, he was posting and tweeting about James Bond once they took it over. So maybe he wants to pick James Bond himself. Other than that, it will be the role of the main shepherds and producers to do that. So it's going to be anything interesting. Anyway, Chris, you hear these two names. It's, again, important to note, not a done deal.
Yeah.
According to the report in Variety, they're just talking to them right now. How would you feel about a partnership of Amy Pascal and David Heyman shepherding Bond? What do you
I
think?
love it. I think I'm so glad you brought up too that they are true producers, because they are really great at assembling these teams who can come in and do the creative work, but also maintaining schedules, maintaining budgets, doing the things that business-oriented people need to be involved with so that the creatives can do what they need to do, but also have a few parameters. I feel like that always helps people the most. When it's all blue skies, that's when we start getting crazy. We have weird CGI. We lose the plot. We need these people to reel us in every now and then, right? And these two have such a great track record ultimately. Amy Pascal, say whatever you want about her, but she's been nominated for Academy Awards. She can really put together a great team. And obviously David Heyman doing the Harry Potter films, the Paddington films.
Yeah.
He really knows what's good. I feel like both of them, for the most part, have excellent taste when it comes to films that are going to do well. So bringing them into Bond, I think, really is a no-brainer. You want to have a team that wins, get people who typically do that.
Now, I'm really looking forward to, James Bond's coming out, and then the press conference happens, and you have Amy Pascal and David Heyman sitting together, and Amy Pascal starts talking about how this James Bond exists in the Harry Potter world, and then have David Heyman's face go completely blank. Only those of you who know what I'm talking about will find that funny. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What would you think about it? Now, remember, we're not talking about the writers or the directors, the cast. We're talking about the people who would ultimately be in charge of, the overall thing. with David Heyman and Amy Pascal. How would you feel about that? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? A lot of box office news to go around, including the Robert De Niro film, Alto Nights, exceeded its box office projection. It was projected to make between $2 and $3 million opening weekend. It made 3.2. So congratulations to Alto Nights, big hit.
People made a stand.
So massive, obviously massive
People
flop
changing the
for that. But another film that we were talking about, we talked about it looking like it was going to have pretty low opening, was the new Jonathan Majors film, Magazine Dreams. Now, if it feels to you like we've been talking about Magazine Dreams for years, it's because we have. This movie went into production years ago. It was originally supposed to be released by under the Disney umbrella. Then, of course, all the drama happened. They parted ways. And then they dropped this movie. Then another production company picked it up, delayed the release date, and it now finally hit theaters. But we were a little bit concerned because we talked about it last week, saying this thing is projected could make under $2 million.
It did.
Well, it did. As Deadline is reporting that Magazine Dreams fails to flex.
Nice.
It opened to under $1 million. It opened to $700,000.
He should have played 2 different roles in it.
Hey, then he could have made $3 million,
Yeah.
like Robert De Niro. I listen. We knew it was going to open low. I'm kind of shocked about how low. And before you think that, well, it didn't open in any theaters, guys, it opened in over 800 theaters in North America. That means, now that's not 2,500 theaters, but it means if anybody wanted to go see this movie, it was playing in a theater near them with 800 locations. And here's the thing too. Whereas like Snow White, take a look at this, made on average $10,238 per screen, right? So per screen that it played on, Snow White made about $10,000 per screen. Magazine Dreams made $858 per screen that it played on. That means even though it was playing nationwide, over 800 theaters, those theaters are still mostly empty. It's not like they were packing out, and if only they had given it more screens, it would have made more money. Yeah, no, it didn't. Now, at $700,000 of an opening, which, by the way, made it open in 16th place on its opening weekend. Now, it's not that, Alto Nights did much better. Alto Nights opened in 6th place, behind Novocaine, Mickey 17, Captain America, Brave New World, Black Bag, and, of course, Snow White. I think Snow White made more money than every other film combined.
Mm-hmm.
That's how slow of a weekend it was. But at any rate, so, Chris, we talked last week about it looked like Magazine Dreams wasn't going to make a lot.
Yeah.
Now here we are, we're made even less than we thought it would. What's the main culprit here? Because this is a death by a million cuts, it feels like.
Yes.
Obviously, there's the Jonathan Majors controversy stuff, plus the more recent stuff with released audio tapes, whatever. But on top of that, this is a movie that got delayed several times, never had a robust marketing budget. Mm-hmm. It changed distributors. People probably heard about this movie and said, wait a minute, didn't this come out like a year ago? I don't know. Out of all the things, what do you think were the one or two that stood out to most as to why this thing opened to like $700,000?
I feel like it's honestly this kind of buried market campaign where, yes, you had a whole bunch of controversy 2 times over, right? We had the release of those tapes last week. We also, though, have all the delays. But really, I think what it comes down to is most people, again, who are not inside the movie bubble here, had no idea what this movie was or what it was going to, when it was going to come
Or that
out.
it maybe even existed.
Yeah. This is one of those things, again, when I talk to like my parents, hey, are you going to see any movies? Well, what's opening this weekend? And if I list them off, well, what's that? I have no idea what that is. They did not make this movie's presence known, and it felt like it was a real backtrack, honestly. Because I remember when we first started reporting on this movie ages ago, when Jonathan Majors was still, a golden boy in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It was, oh, well, this is, a potential, award season kind of film. There's some real potential here. He's really transformed for this role. And then crickets after all the legal issues popped up. And I can understand why a studio would back away when you have somebody who's your lead in a film. Especially somebody who is doing a very physical role. You're going to have a weird time marketing that afterwards. But after his day in court, I did figure that we were going to see some kind of shift in the marketing of this, as opposed to, let's just put it out there, I guess, and who wants to see it'll see it. Because that's really what it felt like at the end there.
Yeah, I never saw, we live around the LA area where billboards are aplenty. I never saw a single Magazine Dreams billboard.
Yeah.
I don't recall.
No bus stop.
No
posters.
bus stop advertising, no outside advertising. Now, I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm just saying, as somebody who watches a bunch of TV, I never saw one television ad for Magazine Dreams. Now, it also needs to be pointed out that apparently the movie is quite good, which is what we suspected it would be a long time ago. Right now, it's got an 81% critic rating and a 92% audience rating. So people seem to like it. The critics like it. The audiences like it. But nobody wanted to go see it. And again, I think it's a case of death by a thousand cuts. It's multiple distributors passing it off to each other, multiple delays coming up probably a year after it was originally supposed to come out. The controversy surrounding Jonathan Major, absolutely dead marketing campaign.
Now, when it comes to the Oscars, I know I just have to ask anyways, just as a common folk, does any of the controversy have an effect on Oscars usually? Has there ever been a controversial, something happened where the film was really good? It was but maybe there's some controversy surrounding.
Hard to say because
wasn't there
because
the
it's
one?
impossible to say whether if you'd taken out the controversy, there's no way to say that it absolutely would have been nominated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because wasn't there one with Manchester by the Sea during that time with Casey Affleck?
Casey?
Okay,
Yeah.
There was something, I don't know what it was.
But it did
All
get
I know is I
nominated
heard
for Oscars.
Yeah, but it did win, right?
Oh
It
yeah,
did win.
He's
so
an
you
Oscar
can
winner.
have controversy.
Yeah, the Oscars never takes that
I
into
just, I've been hearing really great things about Magazine Dreams. I have not heard Oscars mentioned.
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard that it's that good. I've heard it's quite good. But again, guys, question is for you. I mean, this thing made about $800 a screen. It did made under $1 million, which if you had gone back a year and a half ago when we were talking about this movie, would have seemed inconceivable. What do you think the main culprit is? I think there's a long list of things that worked against it. Did you actually see the film? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we still got a few things to talk about, including a little game of true and false we're going to play, and Snow White has had its opening weekend, #1 at the box office by a mile, but one of the lowest openings for a Disney live-action adaptation. We're going to talk about that and a few things more, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at PrizePicks. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's episode, PrizePicks. Baseball season is officially here, and if you're not running your game on PrizePicks yet, you are seriously missing out. This is daily fantasy made easy, and it's how I keep every pitch exciting. You see, PrizePicks lets you pick more or less on player projections like strikeouts, RBIs, or hits, and that's it. I just cooked up my lineup for this week. I'm taking Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 home run and Julio Rodriguez for more than 1 stolen base. Whether it's baseball, basketball, or even esports, you can mix and match players from different sports for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. And the app is super intuitive. It takes under 60 seconds to lock in your picks. And here's a little bonus. Every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday, where you get select player projections at a discount. More value, more fun. So download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into this, shall we? We're going to play a little game of true or false. A little bit earlier, jumped on the YouTube page and I asked our subscribers, hey, guys, you got some true or false scenarios for us to address? We picked out a bunch of them, so let's get to it. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Okay, first up is from Richard. So, John, true or false? The new Batman is gonna new DC universe will be a no-name actor instead of a well-named actor. Okay, so the Batman in the DCU universe will be an no-name actor instead of a well-named actor.
True. Now, it all depends on your definition of no name. Like David Cornsweet has been around,
Yeah.
Right.
but he's not a household name. So if we're defining that as kind of like instead of no name, we'll say lesser known. I will say true, if for no other reason than let's look at what James Gunn did do for Superman, right? There's a lot of names he could have done for Superman. He went out. Now, at the same time, he went out and got Jason Momoa to be Lobo. But I'm going to lean on true. I think it'll be a lesser known name will play Batman. Chris?
Well, first of all, I think if he hadn't let Jason Momoa be Lobo, there would have been a problem.
Yeah,
He camped out outside of his house at all times, just like with a boombox blaring.
Oh boy, I got that reference.
I do agree. I think it is going to be a lesser named actor. It's going to be somebody who's cut their teeth in theater or maybe in some smaller films, a little bit of television, and hopefully this will be a launching point. Kind of like what we saw in the early days of Marvel.
Why is John Cusack standing outside my window? All right, what's next?
All right. Carlos Jimenez says, Chris, true or false? The Pit is the best show on right now.
Okay, false for me because I'm not caught up.
Ooh.
I know. So I can't answer this honestly. Also, I think, the Severance was on, Paradise was on.
But they're done. They're
They are
done their
done
seasons. You're right.
on right now. I'm very mad at myself. I wanted to make sure I caught up on all of White Lotus because everyone was talking about the Sam Rockwell monologue, and I wanted to make sure someone here watched it. I like this season. I'm furious. Because I hate this show so much usually. But I do need to catch up on the Pit. I've only watched 3 episodes. I love that it's all in real time. And honestly, the medical jargon that they're spitting out is 1, so accurate, and 2, these actors.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So good. Because usually on a show like ER, when you're doing like a Grey's Anatomy audition, you might have to say something like, I need 2 cc's of da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's not easy, but it's not the extent of what they're doing on the Pit with these long, continuous cuts. So it's up there. It's a contender, but I need to watch more. Are you watching it?
Not only am I watching, I'm going to say true.
Oh, damn.
Now, I understand Reacher is still airing right now. I understand Daredevil is airing right now. I understand, Severance is now done, so that's out of the picture. I'm going to say true. The Pit is the best show right now that's currently airing and has episodes going right now.
Dang.
I'm not a big medical procedural guy, right? Like, I didn't mind ER back in the day and whatever, but there's something, Noah Wiley in this show anchors it so well, and like you said, all the actors, all the performers in this crush it. And so it's basically, for those of you who don't know, it's 24 meets ER. It's done in real time. Every episode is 1 hour in the day, and I am on the edge of my seat every single time. So yeah, I think I will say true. It is the best show on that's currently airing right now. All right. What's next?
From Den G511, John, true or false? Mahershala Ali is too old to start playing Blade, and Marvel will find a new actor.
All joking aside now, I'm going to say true. I think, do I think Mahershala Ali is too old to play the role? No. Do I think he might be too old now to start the role? I thought that might be a possibility 5 years ago when they first announced him. I'm like, hey, it's Mahershala Ali, the two-time Academy Award-winning actor. It's amazing. It's a dream come true. He's might be a little low because he's already in his 40s to start playing the character, but whatever, it's fine. Here we are now 5 years later. At minimum, we're 2 years away from a Blade movie coming out, if it ever comes out. I'm going to say,
well, he's 51.
Yeah.
I think at some point we're going to find out that Mahershala Ali has moved on. And so I'm going to say true. We're going to have somebody else playing Blade. Chris?
He is 51. And I'd like to remind everyone that Wesley Snipes was 36 when he took on the role. He is now 62.
Oh.
That being said,
Retired?
Mahershala Ali, I think, often plays much younger than he is.
Absolutely.
And I think he's also still a very physically capable actor and all of that. I don't think he's going to be too old. I think he's going to be tired of this old bullshit.
Yeah.
He's been dragged around on this movie. He is an Academy Award winning actor. He's got other things he could be doing. That's more so why I think he'll leave. I think in this case, his age doesn't really matter because he does seem like a timeless vampire.
All right. What's next?
All right. I forget which one we were on. Okay, we were on that. So this one. Mordecai says, Chris, true or false, Star Wars franchise is a better place than many people paint it to be.
Ooh, when you say that, do you mean like the fandom?
Maybe
I know you
the
can't
whole
answer me.
thing,
The
The
whole
whole ecosystem.
The whole ecosystem. I feel like ultimately it is a better place than people claim it is. I feel like anytime we have any kind of weird vitriol on the internet, it's from a loud minority. I think the world is beautiful and expansive. I think it is really fun and exciting, and you can do so many things and play with different mediums and different genres. So I think it's better than people make it out to be. I just wish the loud people would shut their mouths. If you don't like something, no one needs to know. If you want to no longer be a Star Wars fan, this is an airport. Don't announce your exit, buddy. Bye.
I don't like when he touches me, Chris.
I will say this. I think it is true that Star Wars is in a better place than some people paint it out to be. But that doesn't mean it's in a good place. It is in a rough place. I mean, look, as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I don't think there's any denying it is in a rough place. We've waxed poetic about that a lot. We don't need to go and revisit it all again. But, you know, there is a contingent that would just paint it out to be that it's just completely dead, that Star Wars is dead and gone. I think just the trailer for Andor proves that it's not. So do I believe that Star Wars is in a rough place? 100% I do. I really do. But do I believe it's in a better place than some people paint it out to be? Yes. Yes, I do as well. So I'm going to say that that's true. All right. What's next?
Huzai says, John, true or false, the Transformers franchise is dead on arrival at this point.
True. Now listen, a franchise can be rebooted, right? So because, for example, when you say the Spider-Man franchise, well, it's really 3 different franchises, right? You had the Toby franchise, you had the Andrew franchise, you got the Tom franchise. They're really thing. I do think, though, every iteration of Transformers right now is dead. I don't think we're getting a Transformers 1 sequel, which sucks because that movie was great. I mean, maybe a direct to streaming on Paramount Plus or something like that thing, but as far as a theatrical thing, dead. I think the whole Transformers, what was it called? Rise of the Beasts?
All right.
Right, yeah.
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars.
Yeah, it's a Beast Wars thing.
It's done. I don't think they're gonna, I don't, like they keep talking about, I don't think we're gonna get that little Transformers G.I. Joe crossover they teased. I mean, maybe someday, but it would be part of a whole restarted thing if they do. Look, can the brand come back someday? Yes. But any of the franchises as they exist, I think those are dead. So I think that's true. Chris?
I think they're dead theatrically. I think there is the opportunity for them to have a second life on streaming. Now, there's Transformers Earthspark, which is obviously a very different kind of thing, but that's an animated series that's been doing well, and I think it's on its 3rd season. And I could see the Transformers 1 film like having some kind of spin-off series to explore more of that kind of world. But I don't think we're going to do these big blockbusters for a while because they just haven't had the return.
I was really hoping for Fast and Furious crossover.
Oh,
Transformer.
man. Just all balsa wood sparklers and duct
family
tape.
everywhere.
Listen,
Transforming.
as stupid as that is a natural marriage. It is a natural marriage.
I said it and a part of my soul died. Yes, I know it's a natural marriage.
All right, what's next?
Okay. We got...
Is this the last one, by the
Yeah,
way?
this is the last one
All right.
here. That guy says, Chris, true or false, Avengers Doomsday will make $2 billion worldwide?
Worldwide?
Yeah, worldwide.
True. Yeah. If it's good. This is a really difficult question because I don't know anything about this movie. None of us do. So it's if it's a great movie, I'm sure it could do really well. If it's not a great movie and we continue to see box office how it's been, which we're going to get into in a little bit here, even good movies are going to have pretty poor yield returns, though.
I'm going to say true. Okay. And the reason I'm going to say true is this. I think Chris just raised a great point. Like when you look at look at the box office results of Captain America, you look at the box office results of Craven, stuff like that. But what I would submit is that, okay, well, what if you look at something that the audience was truly excited about and looking forward to? Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool movies, neither of the first two Deadpool movies ever made over $800 million. And then Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, makes 1.3 billion plus, right? When you have something that everybody is truly excited about, I think the numbers can be there. And if Deadpool and Wolverine can make 1.3, I mean, yes, obviously with the caveat that if the movie sucks, its box office will run out of gas really fast. But let's put that aside for a second. If a Deadpool and Wolverine can make 1.3 billion, I don't think there's any reason to believe right now, outside of how good or bad the movie might be, I don't think there's any reason outside of that to believe that it can't make $2 billion. So I'm going to say true, it will make $2 billion. Okay, guys, that'll wrap up our true and false. What did you think of true and false? A little bit of a variation on what's more likely. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Whatever, let us know. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on now to our final topic today here, shall we? And that is this. Snow White opened in theaters this past weekend. Chris, I don't know. Did you even have a chance to see it?
I didn't get to go. No one wanted to go with me. So I'm going to go see it, I think Thursday morning. Yeah.
That tracks. Now, you guys remember that for a long time they were saying...
Not that nobody wants to go to see movies with you, but
the movie.
Yeah, no, I'm to see this one in particular.
Company. I'm fun.
It was projected initially this was going to make from $50 to $55 million opening weekend, which I said would be okay, but you guys remember I said on the show, I don't see it making those numbers. I just don't see it getting there. And sure enough, CNN puts it, Snow White box office is more sleepy than happy.
I knew we'd get another good pun there.
Now, it did open to $43 million. But that is, again, below where the projections were and what they wanted, and lower than what a movie of its $200+ million budget. The reports vary wildly. Some reported at 250, some reported 225, whatever. It was an expensive movie. Made $43 million. Now, again, I think it made more money than every other film in the box office combined this weekend. But the reality is, even though it opened to $43 million, it is one of the lowest opening live action adaptations for a Disney movie. Let's go over and take a look at this. So starting at the top, which is the lowest, Snow White makes $43 million. 102 Dalmatians made $19 million on its opening weekend, went on to make $183. Christopher Robin, I like that movie. Christopher Robin opened at $24.6 million, went on to make $197. Alice Through the Looking Glass made $26.9 million on its opening weekend, went on to make $300 million. 101 Dalmatians made $33.5 million, went on to make $320. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, opened to $36.9 million, went on to make almost $500 million. So good for it. I didn't like that movie, but good for it. Snow White, of course, then comes in at 43, making just below Dumbo, that made 45.9, went on to make 353. Cinderella, which I love that movie, opened to 67.9, went on to make over $500 million. The original Maleficent opened with 69 million, went on to make 759 million. Aladdin, which is amazing, I love this movie, made 91.5 million opening weekend, went on to make $1 billion. Little Mermaid opened to 95, went on to make 569. The Jungle Book opened to 103, went on to make almost $1 billion. Alice in Wonderland made 116.1 million, went on to make $1 billion. By the way, Alice in Wonderland opened to 116 million. Its sequel went on to just open to 26 million. That's a significant drop at any rate. And then Beauty and the Beast opened to 174 million, went on to make 1.36 billion. As a little bit of a comparable, a recent film, we've talked about this too, Mufasa, which is not live action, but still, Mufasa made 35 million opening weekend, so less than what Snow White made, but it went on to make over $700 million and is still making money. So there's that. So Snow White opens as one of the lower live action adaptation ones ever. Now, in terms of the year so far, it's actually we're already almost done the first quarter of the year. Snow White's actually the second biggest opening of 2025 so far. At $43 million, it's the second biggest opening of the year so far. Captain America Brave New World was the biggest opening at $88 million. It went on to just make $400 million. Then, of course, Snow White, we'll see how that guy. Dogman, number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3, biggest opening of the year.
It's like a wake up
At
every
36 million, Mickey 17 at 19 million. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera made about 14 million more than I thought it would. Made 15 million on its opening weekend. The Monkey made 14 million on its opening weekend. Paddington in Peru in North American opening weekend made 12 million. And Flight Risk made 11.5 million. So, second biggest opening of the year. Made more money than every other film in the box office combined.
Woof.
But listen, guys, it's not a good start. This is right about where I expected it would have opened, around the 40 to $45 million range mark. Again, I understand Mufasa, another movie I didn't like. Mufasa opened to less and made almost 700 million more. Can Snow White do that as well? It has a chance. I mean, like Mufasa, it is a family appealing film, and more people went out to go see this than went out to go see Mufasa opening weekend. It has a pretty soft couple of weeks in front of it, so it should be able to maintain decently. I think the more realistic number here is probably it coming in at around 350 to 400 million when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Which is not enough for it to break even. It is not enough for it to break even. Now, look, I've reviewed this film. You saw my out of theater reaction. This movie definitely has some things going for it, but overall, I didn't think it was a very good movie. It just is what it is. Then again, I didn't think Mufasa was a very good movie, and it made $700 million. So it's an interesting kind of scenario we're looking at here, Chris, when it's not the lowest live action opening. I mean, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th lowest.
But it's a pretty bashful opening. Take that, all of you headlines.
Ding.
It's nothing to sneezy at. I don't know. Is there anything there?
I don't know, but you're making me grumpy.
Well, you call a doc.
Boy.
It is the second biggest opening of the year so far. Hopefully it will not be for long. Hopefully we're going to have some movies that open bigger than that.
Yeah.
Both of those are poopy.
I don't know. When you look at that, does this come in right around where you think it would? Lower, higher? And what do you think ultimately the legs are going to be like on this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been pretty much a negative Nancy about this one throughout. I just don't think this is going to do well. It could have legs. We've seen this with other Disney live actions where it just kind of pedals on and it does decently. But I don't think it's going to recoup that really expensive cost to make it. And I feel like the theme of the day here is the idea of death by 1,000 cuts, because so many things have gone wrong here to not help this film. We have the controversy with however you feel about either of these women who are in it. So there's that one point. We also just have, Snow White is not the Lion King. Snow White is not the Little Mermaid. It's not part of the Disney Renaissance, if you will. Sure, it's the first. Snow White is the first animated film that we all know and love, and that's really what launched Disney. But it doesn't have the same, in my opinion, kind of tug that all these other Disney films have, especially with kids today.
Kids today.
They just don't understand Snow White.
I think you raised an important point, because like property names like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, while these are the OGs, they do not carry nearly the amount of oomph in their names as Aladdin does right now.
Exactly.
Or Lion King or things like that. Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, you just have in general, we do not consume film the way we used to. We have a very different way that we are willing to watch movies now. And I feel like even with excellent films, people are just not going to movie theaters. This could have been the most incredible reimagining of Snow White, and I still don't think the numbers would have been that great because of this year we're having with the movies. You know, we're not seeing a huge return at the box office. And I'm genuinely really interested to see how everyone's pitching things at CinemaCon this year for you guys, because something's got to change. This is not good. That this is one of the highest grossing films of the year. Woof.
Yeah. And again, something like Captain America, again, another movie I didn't think was very good. That seems to be the thing. There's just a lot of movies this year that I just don't think are very good.
So far, yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, this isn't a situation like Transformers 1, right? Where I came out of Transformers 1 going, that movie was great. This is the Transformers movie I've been waiting my whole life for. And then it just inexplicably underperformed. This isn't the same situation. This is a movie that I just didn't think was very good. Ironically enough, though, still almost half the critics still like it.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get why people who enjoyed the film do. I understand that. It just, for me, the film was just as a movie. Take the Snow White branding out of it, take all that kind of stuff. As a movie, I just didn't think it was all that good. So, I don't know. We'll kind of have to see how this thing all pans out. But again, I mean, if you want to look at a comparable, bring this up again. So Dumbo, you can look at it in two ways. The optimistic way is to look at it in comparison to Mufasa, right? Another not very good movie, opened to less than Snow White and still went on to make 700 million. Or you can look at it the more pessimistic way, whereas you look at a movie like Dumbo that opened to a little bit more, roughly the same amount as Snow White, 45 million. But it only went on to make 353 million. And if Snow White does make 353 million, that's a significant loss. It's a significant loss for them.
You know, out of all the 2025 big openings, there's only one movie that has over 80% in both critic and audience rating.
Really? Which one was that?
And that's Dogman. So if people in here haven't seen it yet, you guys should check out that 80% and above movie.
Now, one of the things I said,
Is it really good, Ray?
I really like it. I'm not even kidding. I think
I know you're not,
think you
but
should at least see it.
I probably will.
It'll come to streaming soon, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
no one saw it in the
okay,
theater.
we're not here to talk
I
about
know,
Dogman.
but I'm just yeah.
But one of the things that also I said about Snow White was that when I came out of it and I said, I didn't really like it, but I said, I think audiences are going to like it more than the critics do. And sure enough, right now, Snow White's got a 74% audience rating. Now, I remember I had this argument with one of our viewers saying, Snow White's going to have like an under 30% audience rating. And I'm like, no, it will not. It definitely will. Number one, 80% of the time, audience ratings skew a little bit more positive than the critic ones do, because you got people who are wanting specifically to go see that movie, whereas critics don't care. They're going to go see all these movies and they don't care about whether they see it or not. And I just thought there was enough crowd pleasing stuff in it that I thought, even though it didn't work for me, that it was going to work for more audiences. So right now, critic rating 44%, audience rating 74%.
I got a question. Is there singing in this Snow White? I've never.
Yes.
I don't
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
music.
it's
Do you think
musical.
there's some Wicked effect going on? Maybe was too close to Wicked.
Well, if
because
anything,
people
I
are still
would've-
coming
no.
out. I barely just watched Wicked like the other week.
If anything, the opposite would have been true, right? If people watched Wicked and really liked it, they would have been more jazzed to go out to see another musical.
But something that you really liked and this didn't look like it
I
was
think
going to be.
yeah, right. Like, I think if you go see it's the same thing with comic book movies. If you go to see a comic book movie and you absolutely love it, you are more likely to go see the next comic book movie that comes out. And I think if anything, the Wicked effect would have had a positive effect on Snow White. Now, if Wicked sucked and everybody hated it, then I'd say, yeah, that can have a negative impact. But because it was so well received, and Wicked is really good.
Yeah,
I mean, even I loved
It's
Wicked.
incredible.
I think if anything, it probably would have had a more positive effect on it. But that's one of the other things. Like, I thought Moana 2 was okay. I liked it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as good as the original, but I can't hum one bar from any of the songs in that one. I can sing the entire soundtrack from the first one. With Snow White, you'll see this when you go see it, Chris. Like, the opening 10 minutes of Snow White are great.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate that it's so great in the first 10 minutes because it sets your expectations like high for the rest of the movie. And then and the first song in the movie, I think it's called Where the Good Things Grow. Great song. It's the one song I walked out remembering. Woof, the Gal Gadot song, so bad.
Oh no.
Oh, so bad. So even though the first song in the movie's pretty good, as a musical, I didn't really feel the music either.
You need to have good songs if you're gonna have singing.
Oh, also the Hi Ho song.
Oh.
The Doors Hi Ho song, I really like. Okay, I'll give it that. But that's a classic, right?
Yeah.
That's a classic. So
Do you think this is just kind of the issue is we're just having such a big year of meh? And on top of that, I feel like there's this pressure for critics too to come out really like this is trash or this is marvelous. I feel like there's more of this headline grabbing kind of thing these
I feel
days.
more
I'm not
fans
sure.
do that than
Okay.
critics. I like critics don't care.
Fair.
Critics just they just don't care. They'll go see it and they'll tell you exactly what they thought about it. Which is I think why you see like it's almost split down the middle. So
Sure.
44% liked it, 56% didn't. They don't care whether they think something is now a lot of the YouTubers, a lot of the podcasters, people who do stuff like what I do. Yeah, we're more prone to go 0 or 10. Everything's 0 or 10 today.
I love when
right?
people get mad about it though, of like when it's fine. Or, you need to have a stronger opinion. I don't though.
No,
so why
because
do you
the-
want me
that
to
is
lie?
that is my
Don't
strong
ride the
opinion. It
fence.
was
Yeah.
fine.
Like there is no fence. It's just
It's just how I feel, yeah.
And for me, a lot of the older, like let's say Snow White, Dumbo, whenever when they made the live action Dumbo, even though I thought the elephant was cute, I knew I was never going to see it. It's just the story never was almost kind of sad to me. I didn't want to.
It is so
Oh, it's
sad.
so
The
sad.
Dumbo is
Snow
a
White
very
was-
sad story. Yeah.
Snow White, other than when the witch shines up the apple and makes it look real crispy and nice and good to eat, it kind of terrified. I was scared of Snow White. I didn't really care about that story either. I think it's just they reached too far for me. They reached too far into their log. I didn't care about those movies when I was younger.
I'm going to
and
say an unpopular, kind of following up what you just said, I'm going to say something unpopular. The original story of Snow White is not that good.
No.
I'm sorry. I know that's like sacrilegious to say, but the actual story of Snow White is
Yeah.
not that interesting.
it's
of
a little.
That's what I
It's a
didn't-
little vain, right?
Here's the thing too, is like a lot of the people that, and we covered this last week, but a lot of the people that panned it were like, it's nowhere near the masterpiece of the original. But that you're not, just speak to me about this film as if you hadn't seen the original
Yeah.
before, because we're not going through all the Cleopatras that had ever been made before when you know what I mean? It's like, so right there, you're telling me you're just going off nostalgia. And to your point, John, I grew up with all those original ones before the 90s renaissance of Disney, and Sleeping Beauty, Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood, those were like big ones for me from the 50s and
Yeah.
40s. Snow White, like I'd watch once in a great while.
Because her voice,
It
man.
just wasn't that much for me.
Disney training was rough when we all had to learn our
Pinocchio,
Snow White voices.
you know,
Oof,
Peter Pan.
magoof, what a bad time.
Now, here's a question. When does it enter the public domain so that company doing Popeye the Slayer Man can make a horror version of Snow White?
Oh boy.
Where like Snow White survives the apple bite and she goes off on a thing of revenge where she starts killing all the families of the
Oh, you
castle
probably
guards.
could, since it's a German folktale. You just can't have her dressed the same way and have
Yeah,
the
I just don't
horrible
know
bob.
if it's in the public domain
I-
yet.
I-
That I would see. What would you call a Snow White horror film?
Well,
Snow
actually, I do
Yellow.
think there is one out right now because I
Snow
believe
Blood Red?
Taylor
Oh, right.
Gonzalez did a panel.
Crimson Snow.
Crimson
I'm going to
Snow.
look this up.
Snow Whip.
This
Yeah.
might be a little premature to ask, but
The Death of Snow White.
the death of Snow White.
There's already one because Taylor moderated a panel on it. Good job, Tay Tay.
Recovery. Can we talk recovery? Is there a chance that this film recovers from what you've
Yeah,
seen?
I mean, yeah. So could there be like a Mufasa effect? Maybe. Like I said, there's not a lot coming out against it in the next couple of weeks.
That's what. Yeah.
No.
So like what happened with Mufasa was, again, not a very good movie, but families just kept going to see it. And they kept going to see it and kept going to see it and kept going to see it until it made over $700 million. I don't see that happening with Snow White, but I'm not going to deny that it's a possibility. It just happened, so it's possible. But well, Blow White.
Oh, dude, that's
Blow
right. Why not, dude?
Cocaine.
Yes.
Cocaine.
No,
Like cocaine,
Yeah.
Snow White.
it's a
Blow White.
snowboarding movie. Cocaine. Come on.
Cocaine, Blow White.
Children in here.
I'll watch that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Snow White, one of the biggest openings of the year. Still way lower than where it needs to be. Anyway, what do you guys think about that? Do you think it could have the Mufasa effect, where Mufasa opened even lower, made over $700 million? Or do you think it would be more in line with other films around Snow White's opening numbers, like Dumbo, where it made about $45 million, but it only went on to make about 350? I personally think that's more likely. Whatever you guys think,
nice.
jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.
Cocaine Dwarf. Come on.
Cocaine Dwarf. All right, guys, with that all down, it's time for us to move into the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank another sponsor of today's episode, our friends at Kikoff. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Kikoff. Man, time flies, doesn't it? 1 minute, you're reminiscing about your last vacation, and the next, you're thinking about major life goals, like buying a car, getting that dream home. But if your credit isn't where it needs to be, those goals can feel out of reach. And that's where Kikoff comes in, the #1 credit building app in the App Store that makes it easy, affordable, and stress-free to build credit fast. And that's exactly why I love Kikoff. They give you a credit line for just building credit, not for spending. Your on-time payments get reported to the 3 major credit bureaus, helping you improve your credit mix and payment history, 2 of the biggest factors in credit growth. If your credit is under 600, you could see a jump of about 28 points in your first month. No credit check, no hidden fees, no interest, just smart credit building. Building credit can happen faster than you expect with Kikoff. Don't wait. Get your first month for just $1 at getkikoff.com/Campea. That's kickoff without the C. Get 80% off at getkikoff.com/Campea. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/Campea to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only, subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Point stat based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0 changes for Kikoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January of 2021 and March of 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kikoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary. And thank you to our friends at Kikoff for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the main stuff here, shall we? Taking your live comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Mega Red says, RDJ, casting aside, how accurate do you think Doom will be aesthetically? Can we expect a full-on medieval look with a big throne and the accent to nationality? I don't see Marvel abandoning the iconic aesthetic in favor of a Tony Stark, but cruel.
Well, okay, look, first of all, whenever somebody asks the question, how close will they stick to the comic with the look? Dr. Doom has had many different looks. So which look are we talking about? When you talk about accent, well, he doesn't have an accent in the comics. I mean, they might imply that he does, but we can never hear it. So we've seen different variations of Victor Von Doom, right? Like in the Michael Chiklis Fantastic Four. What was the name of the actor who played Doom in that again? He was in Nip Tuck.
Yeah, Toby Kepp.
No,
that's
no. The guy.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I know that guy's face.
I forget his name though from Nip Tuck. Julian McMahon, or yeah, Julian McMahon. Oh yeah, Q said in the live chat, Julian McMahon. So he went straight up English, normal North American, American accent, right? So I mean, so it all depends. That's the problem with a lot of us is when we enter into it, we go like, well, will this be accurate to the comic? Well, the comic has had 7 different versions. Which one are you talking about? So, but listen, if the Comic-Con announcement tells us anything, he seemed to have kind of a classic look. And then, you know, some of the, I don't know the veracity of it, but the leaked concept art, whether that was true or not, look, here's what I think. I think the Doom look will be true to the spirit of the Doom look in the comics. Maybe this will be a little longer. Maybe that'll be a little darker shade. Maybe this will have, but I think in general, when we look at Doom, when we see Doom in the movie, we are clearly going to go, oh, this is Dr. Doom. Whether it looks 100% accurate to the comics or not, or whatever version from the comics, we'll see. But I think it'll stay true to the spirit of it. We'll see how close they do. All right, what's next?
Okay, Mega Red follows up and says, do you think Hulk will still have the stupid bowl cut kid in the post-Secret War MCU, or will Marvel use Secret Wars to decanonize, remove the kid from existence?
No, they're not going to decanonize him. They're definitely not going to do that. They'll again, if you go by the leaked concept art, he's in there. I mean, look, in a perfect world, I still want to believe there's a chance for a World War Hulk. I think not my absolute favorite, but World War Hulk is one of my favorite comic stories of all time. I mean, it's below things like Age of Apocalypse, Nightfall, things like that. But World War Hulk was up there. It's truly one of the greatest, most bombastic, heartbreaking things of all time. And you would like it, Ray, because it culminates with Century.
Yeah.
But
I've read it.
I think maybe because that's there, you got to kill Hulk's kid. I know I'm becoming the kill the kid guy on the show, but you got to kill Hulk's kid, right? Something like in the comic books, the death of basically his whole family is what then motivates Hulk to go, I'm going to come back and get all of you. And he comes back and starts wiping out or taking down all the members of the Illuminati. And ultimately he takes out all the X-Men. He takes out all the Avengers. He's taken out everybody till finally, at the end of the day, the president of the United States has got to call in Sentry. And it ends
with a cop-out.
No, it ends in an awesome, earth-shattering
draw,
like knock down, drag out Sentry versus Hulk, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so good.
They beat each other until their human form.
They beat each other. Basically, they beat each other.
The power out of each other. Yeah,
it's so good. But you gotta have something that turns Hawaiian shirt family barbecue attending Hulk into World Breaker Hulk, right? And killing the kid is the only way. That's the only way to get there. So I don't know. We'll see what they're gonna do. All right, what's next?
Eddie says, curious where you land on film stars talking negatively about movies they were in. Do you feel it's professional, even if the films have been out for a few years? I can see the reasons for why they should or shouldn't. I was wondering what your thoughts are.
I mean, look, so I think there's two answers to that. There is the in its window, and then there's the after the window. So like in the window, a movie just came out in the last few months. It's either still in theaters or it's still having its initial run on streaming and home video and stuff like that. In there, you shouldn't be saying anything negative about a film. A company paid you probably decent money to be in a film and to promote the film and all that kind of stuff. Now, after the fact, George Clooney never spoke negatively about his Batman outing until years later, when it has no negative impact on the financial bottom line of the film. That movie had made all the money it was ever going to make, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have no problem long after the fact, because there's just a professionalism issue there. But I have no problem long after the fact, a director or an actor looking back at a piece of their work and going, that wasn't my best work. Or, I kind of cringe when I look at that one now. As long as it's long enough afterwards that their criticism of the film, even if it's of themselves, isn't going to impact that film anymore. Like it's long enough after. So yeah, in its window, you shouldn't be coming out and talking about crap about a film unless you want to return your paycheck. After its window, I think absolutely you should be fair to be critical. As long as you're focusing in generalities, I wouldn't be attacking other actors in your film with you, or I wouldn't be attacking the director or whatever, but just saying, yeah, that movie I was in kind of stunk, or I wasn't very good in that movie. I think that's perfectly okay. All right, what's next?
DZ Studio says, I do believe Snow White will be successful, though I'm choosing not to see it. I love the Kristen Stewart and Charlize Theron live action Snow White. Even the sequel with Emily Blunt was good, but that's just me personally.
Oh, the Snow White and the Huntsman movies?
I just didn't realize Emily Blunt was in the second one.
Yeah, she was a queen, right? Or was she the...
what was she in the second one? It's hard for... I can barely remember the second one.
Might have been.
Again, all due respect to everybody else who did like it, because all film is subjective. The Snow White and the Huntsman movies, I mean, I thought it had potential. There was potential. I just never thought it lived up to it, unfortunately. I mean, it was an interesting idea to approach Snow White from a different perspective, right? And your main character kind of becomes, it was Chris Hemsworth, right?
Right, the Huntsman.
Chris Hemsworth is the Huntsman. That's an interesting idea. So full marks for the idea. For me, it just didn't work, though, unfortunately. All right, what's next?
We got Emil says, John, do you know Blast Logic? Can you thread him to do a Tremel Tillman as Blue Marvel? Sometimes all you need is a little push.
We've had Boss Logic on the channel before. Actually, just last year, I did a little thing with Boss Logic. But I'm not going to lie and say I'm in communication with him. I'm not. I actually, you know what the funny thing was? The main way, it was funny because we talked about it when we did the show together. Boss Logic and I talked for years about maybe him popping up and stuff like that. And then finally we did a little something last year. But the main way we used to communicate on the very, 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 very rare occasion that we would communicate, because I don't want to create a false impression. Oh yeah, me and Boss Logic talk. Mostly we did, never have. But on the rare occasion that we would communicate, it used to be through direct messaging on Twitter. And of course I dumped Twitter a long time ago, so I'm not even on Twitter anymore. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not even sure how I would get in touch with Boss Logic, even if I wanted to. But he is a global treasure of the fan community. Boss Logic is just an absolute global treasure of the fan community. He's great. All right, what's next?
Mark Choi with a $20 tip says,
thank you, Mark.
My out of theater review of Ash, I am compelled to warn everyone not to waste time or money. It is a classic example of your visual noise lessons to us. It had good sets, CGI, decent effects, and just okay plot, but that was it. Good thing it was short.
And nobody went to go see it. It was like a lot of people, like everybody knew Snow White was opening, but then you had Alto Knights, Magazine Dreams, and Ash opening this weekend, and none of the other three made any money at all. Like everybody wants to be quick to throw around the word flop with, by the way, anybody who's calling Snow White a flop yet, way premature.
Oh, yeah.
Way premature. Again, Mufasa, everybody wanted to rush to label it a flop when it only opened to $35 million. It ended up making over $750 million. Everybody wanted to rush and call Avatar 2 a big flop on its opening weekend. And it went on to make however much, over $2 billion, whatever it ended up making. Look, do I think Snow White's going to be profitable? I don't. But you cannot declare it a flop right now when it made more money than a recent Disney film did on its opening weekend, and that other film made over $700 million. Again, I do not think Snow White's going to do that. I don't, but it's too early to proclaim it because we got to see what happens. Anyway. All right, what's next?
All right, Mark Choi with a $35 four-parter here.
Oh my God. Thank you, Mark.
I had a fun serendipitous real-world application of one of your reassertions. I coincidentally scheduled a double feature of Ash and Looney Tunes after the bad time with Ash. There I was having a very silly and pretty fun time watching Porky and Daffy. It helped that the AMC Burbank audience was full. 15 minutes into it, the main plot was revealed. Lo and behold, the exact same as Ash. Doesn't want to spoil it. He says, by the end, the Looney Tunes was a vastly superior movie. All the craziness and the gags were actually effective and not just visual noise because it had a solid narrative purpose, unlike Ash. I'm not suggesting anyone to actually watch both as a lesson, but you totally popped into my head and actually heard your voice throughout to compare the two. I don't think I would have made the connection had I not seen it back to back. Thank you.
That's interesting. You know what the interesting thing? Okay, what's the name of it? The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Yeah.
I need to look this up quick because I am curious to know. The Day the Earth Blew Up cost $15 million to make. Now, look, I'm about to get. First of all, thanks for sharing that, and that is a cool thing to do as a double feature. Here's the interesting thing. I had people look at me agog and aghast in a conversation I was just having recently. Because, you know, the word going around is that Warner Brothers might be looking at selling off Looney Tunes. To which everybody was just, like I said, agog and aghast. How could they possibly do that? How stupid do you need to be to sell off Looney Tunes? That's ridiculous. And I said this. As somebody who has loved Looney Tunes my whole life, I would sell it too. It doesn't make any money. Case in point, The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's now been in theaters for a couple of weeks. Cost $15 million to make. That's besides the marketing and all that kind of stuff, but just the production budget was $15 million to make. After being out in theaters for a couple of weeks, worldwide, grand total, it's made $3 million.
Would you put Space Jam in that same vein? Looney Tunes related?
Yeah, yeah, Looney Tunes, it's done.
Absolutely.
It's done.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if you have an ounce of business sense, you too would consider selling off Looney Tunes if you think you could make some money off of it. Because again, I know it's an unpopular thing to say, but sometimes being right is lonely. Nobody watches Looney Tunes stuff anymore. I do, but there are not many else. And that's why when they were talking about putting out Coyote versus Acme, I totally believe that it's not going to make much money at the box office. It's not. It's just not, guys. And even when something like this comes out, the earth blew up and everybody says it's really good, nobody's going to go see it. No one's going to see it. It's made less than a fifth of its production budget. Now, look, am I saying Warner Brothers should sell off Looney Tunes? I think that's up for debate. But if you have an ounce of business sense, you would look at them saying, we're considering selling this off. If you are of sound mind and body, you're going to go, that's not unreasonable. Because it doesn't make you any money. The day of Looney Tunes is in our rearview mirror. Looney Tunes is not the future. I hate that. I hate that with the heat of 1,000 burning suns. I hate that, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, there's that. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, can you think of any movies that you liked but everyone else didn't? For me, I like Cat in the Hat, The Flash, Sausage Party, Five Nights at Freddy's, and Shrek 3, even though I'm aware a lot of people don't like them.
Everybody does. Every single person every year will have 3 or 4 movies that they don't like or that they like that everybody else did. That's the subjective nature of film. I mean, a couple of the big ones for me are, I talk about these all the time, Cool as Ice. And the big one for me is Armageddon. Armageddon, which was trashed on for so long, but I've always said from day one that I saw Armageddon, I don't care. I think Armageddon is amazing. But again, every single year, anybody who is honest, because most people aren't. Most people, if everybody likes a movie, they'll say they like it too. And if everybody dislikes a movie, they say they don't like it too. But if everybody was honest, every year, there's a couple of films that everybody hates that you will like, and a couple of films that everybody likes that you won't. That's the subjective nature of it. So yeah. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous says, Daredevil is such a slut. It's kind of hilarious. He's always getting with some beautiful woman. With BA, I think they found,
I don't know what BA is.
Born Again.
Oh, okay.
Found the perfect balance between comic booky She-Hulk Daredevil and grounded Netflix Daredevil. I just enjoy seeing Matt on screen.
Yeah, Matt, but everybody in Daredevil Matt gets around. Karen got around. I think she's had like 4 different relationships.
Karen.
Karen. But you know what? Here's the thing. If you're not married, how many relationships do you have over the course of 4 years? I don't think it's terribly unreasonable to think you've dated 4, 5, 6 women over the course of 4 years, right? I mean, it's fine. It's not like he was running out and, picking somebody up new every Saturday night. It's fine. Let Matt and Karen be Matt and Karen.
I'll tell you who's a slut.
Who?
Is Mark D. Mark S, I mean.
Mark S. Oh,
He's
yeah,
a
with
little
Helly
slut.
and
Yeah.
Helena and Helly both?
and yeah.
I'm cheating on you with you. Is that still cheating? I don't know.
Mark.
By the way, that's a Severance reference for those of you who don't know. All right, what's next?
Norwegian says, man, the latest episode of The Pit was really stressful. Those 40 minutes flew by super fast.
Dude, I for whatever reason, I thought the newest episode of The Pit was the finale until it got to the end and I realized, oh, okay, they still have one more episode to go. Dude, because this is what I said to Ann as we were watching it. I said, here's the brilliance. All season, as there's a new patient every episode, whatever, you see them put so much time and care into trying to fix that patient. And then all of a sudden, in the last episode, there's like a shooting at a concert, at some big concert festival, right? And like all of a sudden 70 gunshot victims get rushed into it, and you went from a whole season of them really taking their time and trying to evaluate and figuring out the problem with every patient, to all of a sudden 70 gunshot victims come in, and they're like, you got to assess them in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then,
Something like that
and if
happened
this
on
person
VR.
doesn't like they're going to make it, don't do everything you can to save them. Give up on them, because there's 35 others that could die waiting for you to get to them. I mean, it's so crazy the situation the show puts them in. It was, I 100% agree. I was on the edge of my seat the entire episode. It was a fantastic episode. All right, what's next?
We got Ronetta says, hi everyone, just saw the new Andor trailer. It was great. Can't wait. I guess the trailer company heard the grumbles with the music choice from the first trailer. Much better this time. More of that, please.
Yeah, again, I really
I think
like
it was already planned to do something like this, though.
probably, but I like the last trailer. I do. I just don't like it when you kind of take a song like that and just drop it in something like either Star Wars or some kind of period piece. It does not work. And I did appreciate the fact that with this Andor trailer, you just put score into it, right? And I completely agree with you. It just made it work much, much, much better. All right, what's next?
Okay, Bry Guy says, has a what's more likely, The Simpsons in live action getting a Treehouse of Horror special parodying the CW, or Bob's Burgers getting a live action series adaptation a few years after the original cartoon series
I don't
ends.
understand the question. Like, what's more likely, The Simpsons?
The Simpsons
Oh,
or
in
Bob's
live
Burgers?
Live
action.
action
Yeah.
Simpsons or Bob's Burger.
Oh, Bob's Burger.
Yeah, I agree.
That's- You could do a live action Bob's Burger easy. I don't think there's ever doing a live action Simpsons.
Simpsons.
You just couldn't do it.
And I think Bob's just lends itself more to a live action.
100%. Bob's Burgers 100% lends itself more to live action. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, as a Rachel Zegler fan, I did not care for the new Snow White. However, the I thought he was dead joke got me. I laughed very hard.
That was a good. Okay, as
There was a joke in there?
as somebody who didn't like the movie overall, that was a really good joke. That got me. That was one of the only one or two times the entire movie that I laughed out loud. But yeah, I won't give away the scenario surrounding the punchline is I thought he was dead. I won't give you the scenario for it. You'll see it when it hits. But as somebody who didn't like the movie, I will confess that was one of the highlights. That was a fun moment. That was a good, funny joke. All right, what's next?
Okay, performing artist is a three-part. It says four, but it's three-parter. Hey crew, I did see Magazine Dreams at a 10 p.m. screening last night. I also walked out on it because it was so excruciating to watch this volatile character on screen. I almost walked out on it. They did not, though. Okay. I felt so sorry for him. His problems weren't all his fault. I have often criticized Hollywood and society for vilifying incel-related stories, so I wanted to give them credit when they get it right. The movie could have easily gone off the rails in the end, but to my surprise, it didn't. Too bad not many saw it. Just when you think Hollywood can't put out great art, one of these little gems comes out. Props to Jonathan Majors as the main character, an executive producer for doing his homework on the character of Elijah Bynum, for writing and directing it. I didn't know it was based on a true story.
Yeah, I will push back on that and say this. Hollywood puts out amazing art every year.
100%.
You may not be going to see it. You may not watch it. You may not be aware of it. But every year, there is a large collection. Of bad films, yes, but also of great art. Every year. So I've got to push back on you on that. 100% I do. Now, again, it is unfortunate too that we talked a little bit earlier how about absolutely nobody went to go see Magazine Dreams, considering that by all accounts, it seems like it's a really good movie. And all the laundry list of things that have contributed to that, like multiple distributors and it changing hands, multiple release dates, over a year pushing it back, the controversy surrounding Jonathan Majors, the lack of a marketing campaign, like just on and on and on. This thing had a lot of things stacked against it. And it's always unfortunate when that happens to what otherwise turns out to be a good movie. All right, what's next?
Okay, Cersei has a two-parter. It says, my father passed away on Saturday.
I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
He took me to my first ever movie at the age of 3. It was Spider-Man: The Dragon's Challenge back in London. I spent the weekend watching old anime movies like Red Heat, Commando, Running Man, because we would watch them
Old
together.
Arnie movies, not anime movies.
Oh, Arnie movies. Yeah, sorry. Growing up, like Perfume and Cologne's movie can evoke great memories. I want to thank you for your podcast. Movies have an important role in our lives, and you guys are the kings and queens of that. Apologies for the somber message. God bless you all.
Hey, listen, as I just recently lost my mom. You guys know about that. And one of the great things about movies, and we all have this, the entire time I've done this job, I've not the entire time, but as of a few years ago, when the guy who was my best friend growing up died, it made the Michael Keaton Batman movie that much more special to me, because me and my friend went to go see that when we were kids. And it just becomes this rock core event that stays with you. My mom introduced me to Star Wars. It was my mom who introduced me to Star Wars. So as if Star Wars wasn't always just going to be a key part of the DNA of who I am, when my mom passed, I think it just really solidified that even more. And that is one of the great things about movies, is they become these memorable shared events, these memorable shared experiences that we have with people. And the fact that you now have those core memories with you forever now with your dad, and the movies will always be a representation of that. So again, deepest condolences to you, man. I know what you're going through, and thanks for sharing your thoughts. We appreciate that. All right. What's next?
Right. We got Anonora with a two-parter for any film history fans. I would recommend the TCM's podcast, The Plot Thickens. The last season was about the life and career of John Ford. His films are legendary, but the man himself was a complicated character all on his own. I rarely say this about creators, but Ford's life could make a compelling film, especially his contributions to the military in World War II. Past seasons of the podcast are about Pam Grier, the production of Bonfire of the Vanities, and Lucille Ball.
Yeah, John Ford, he's one of the greatest. He holds like some records that I don't think are ever going to be broken. It's also interesting when he popped up, his character, I should say, popped up at the end of The Fabelmans. Was that the name of it? The Steven Spielberg? It was
Yes.
The Fabelmans, right? When he pops up at the end of it, I think there was a lot of people who didn't even know that was a real director, that John Ford was a real guy. How Green Is My Valley and all that. Like, it's just, he is truly one of the all-time greats. And a lot of people, he's not mentioned. And we're guilty on this show of not mentioning him a lot when some of the greatest directors, we get into the conversation, some of the greatest directors. So anyway, yeah, this is a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, what's next?
Okay, Ryan Rocket says, if you have not been watching Wheel of Time Season 3, I recommend it. It's improving season to season, like Rings of Power. Do you ever go back to a show if you dislike the first few seasons?
Do I go back to a show if I dislike the first seasons? I don't think I do. But listen, here's the thing about Wheel of Time Season 1. I thought Wheel of Time Season 1 was okay. Like, I was not looking forward to the second season, but I'll give it a shot when it comes, sort of thing. I would have given up on Rings of Power if it wasn't for the fact that it was Lord of the Rings. Right? Rings of Power. Hey, look, I'll give it its due. Rings of Power Season 1 had some moments. And again, the best thing about Season 1 was the relationship between Durin and Elrond. That was great. But other than that, the show was really disappointing. And if it was any other IP other than Lord of the Rings, I never would have gone back and give Season 2 a shot. And I'm glad I did, because Season 2 was a vast improvement. Wheel of Time, Season 2 was an improvement over Season 1. And I have not started watching Season 3 yet, but everybody is telling me easily Season 3 is the best of the series so far, is a big step up, just like Season 2 was a step up over Season 1. So I will get around to watching it. I just have to get through. Like right now it's tough because I'm watching The Pit and I'm watching Daredevil, and I'm watching Reacher, and I'm watching Matlock. Again, don't laugh, guys. Matlock is a great show. Matlock's a really good show. And I'm watching a bunch of stuff, but I will get around to Wheel of Time season 3 at some point here. All right, what's next?
Final tip. Sketchcraft says, true or false, the best adaptation of Snow White was Ramstein's Sown music video. I haven't seen it, but I saw images of it.
I'm not familiar with
couldn't
it, so I
say.
couldn't answer
So I'll
that.
say false because I don't know. So I'll have to take the safe bet on that one.
All right. Let's go over and start taking now every day or almost every day. We ask our channel members. You know, we have channel memberships here, and every day we put up a post to just our channel members and asking them if they have any questions for the show today. So what do our channel members ask today?
We got Tony who says, not a question, just wanted to say that I've been watching since your Collider days and wanted to thank you for doing your shows. I have PTSD from Iraq.
Oh man, that's rough.
And movies are my outlet, and being able to watch you guys talk about movies helps me get through bad days. So again, thank you, and I appreciate you all.
Dude, the honor is ours. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's first of all, that's huge for you to talk about that, and that's awesome. And we are so glad you're here and part of our community, and it's our pleasure to do that, man. So thank you for sharing your thought. Appreciate that. All right, what's next?
Alan says, happy Monday, Campea crew. Over the weekend, I saw Jojo Rabbit, The Wild Robot, and Anora. You were on Hulu. All of them are great.
Those are all great. You know, I think Jojo Rabbit is a movie too many people forgot. And the reason I think people forget it is because it's a Taika Waititi film, right? Like it is so, what's the word I'm looking for? Out of the box for Taika Waititi. It definitely has Taika Waititi moments in it. But I'm telling you guys, one of the most emotional responses I've had to any moment in any movie over the past 10 years is the shoes scene. I mean, seriously, top 5 most emotional reactions and responses I've had to any movie in the last 10 years was the shoes scene in Jojo Rabbit. That is a magnificent film. And yeah, listen, everybody's got, I so hate, one of the trends I hate most in film fandom today is the absolute recency bias. Recency bias has always been a thing, but you can get a movie like a filmmaker like Taika Waititi, who's just done all this great stuff, and then comes Thor: Love and Thunder, which is clearly not his best work. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, Taika Waititi sucks. I never want to see anything Taika Waititi. Fucking morons. This is the guy who did What We Do in the Shadows. This is the guy who did like one of the truly great comic book films we've ever had in Thor Ragnarok. This is the guy who did Jojo Rabbit. And I think a lot of people forget about Jojo Rabbit. It's a truly, truly special film.
I even liked Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh yeah, that one also not as well known.
No,
but
it's a nice
like
film.
Fantastic movie. Absolutely fantastic movie. So look, if you have not seen Jojo Rabbit, I highly recommend hop on streaming, go give it a shot. I think you're really going to like it. All right,
We got
what's next?
Mighty Tank says, I can't stop watching clips of Megatron at Universal Studios roasting people. Have you been to the Transformers ride?
Yep. Honestly, every time, and Ann and I are season pass holders for Universal Studios Hollywood, and every time we go, I will be a little disappointed when we walk by the area where that's just outside of where the Transformers ride is. They normally have this this physical Megatron there, or it's an Optimus Prime, or it's somebody else. And if Megatron isn't there, I get disappointed because he's always roasting people, and it's always funny. Like, so sometimes we'll walk by and I'll just stand there just for a minute to hear him mock some people standing in the crowd. It's really great. And I always get disappointed when he's not there. And yeah, I really like the Transformers ride. To this day, I still like it. It's an older ride now. It's an older code, but still checks out. It's an older ride now, but I still really like it. It's a lot of fun. All right, what's next?
Collins says, I'm quite worried about the current state of the movie-going business. Nothing in 25 seems to have broken through, and business is majorly down year over year. I hope this summer slate can break this sluggishness.
Well, listen, we're going to be doing a topic probably this week on, I was just going through, writing down some notes last night on this, about the movies. I don't know how to title this. The movies that the industry is hoping will break things open this year, particularly this summer. Because, like we said, Snow White is the second biggest opening of the year. We're already through the first quarter.
Yeah. And even the indie films like Mickey 17 and Novocaine haven't really. I mean, I like them both, but it's like they weren't. It's not like I'm like, but these indie films are so great and no one's seeing them. Like, they were good, but they weren't
You know what it reminds me of?
showstoppers.
Reminds me of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Remember in the first quarter of the year, like everything coming out just seemed to fall.
Yeah.
Like a dud. Like even really good movies like Furiosa. What was the Ryan Gosling one again?
Oh, yeah.
Guys,
What's
Fall
that?
Guy.
Fall Guy, which is again a great movie. I really like that movie. And then we got into quarter two, and all of a sudden they had a lot of box office success.
Right.
So sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, we're going to sit down and look at the films that are coming that the industry is really looking to break things open at the box office. Because you're right, it's been real slow. It's been real slow. Even the sad thing too is like a movie like Novocaine. That's another great example of like everybody acts all snooty when Hollywood doesn't make original films anymore. Guess what? Novocaine came out. It's a fun, enjoyable, like it's not going to win any Oscars, but it's a fun, enjoyable,
Yeah.
at times pretty exciting, like little original film. Made $8 million in its opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick and tired of people that Hollywood doesn't make originals anymore.
Mickey
Yes,
17.
they fucking do. Yes, they do. You
Yeah.
just don't go see them. But again, they really do need those films to start coming along now to really break things open. And we'll talk about the films that we think the industry is really kind of hanging their hopes on. All right, what's next?
We got the Yankee says, I'm presuming you'll have an Andor season 2 after show. Today's trailer has me ready to go.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be doing an Andor post-game show. Do we figure what day of the week is Andor coming out? Is it Wednesdays?
I had no idea.
God, I hope it's Wednesdays because I don't want it to be Tuesdays because that's when Daredevil comes out and I can't watch both and do post-game shows on the same day. So I'm just going to assume it won't be on the same
April
day.
22nd. So what is April 22nd? That is...
Q is saying it is Tuesdays.
April 22nd is Tuesday.
Shit, so they're going to be dropping Daredevil episodes and Andor on the same night?
Seems weird.
I'll figure it out.
Because they usually drop at 6, so that seems weird.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Andor drops 3
Oh,
episodes.
I wonder if Daredevil might
no.
be wrapped because they're doing double episodes.
I thought we looked at it though. Didn't we say that there's going to be 1 or 2 weeks where
But
we are
I-
getting new episodes of
Right.
Daredevil, Andor, and
Right.
Last of Us?
But I don't think we accounted for double episodes. of
yeah, I
Daredevil.
gotta believe it's gotta be over then by the time Andor comes out.
Yeah.
Andor is being released over just 4 weeks.
Could be why we're getting a double episode of Daredevil.
Maybe to get it ahead
Yeah.
of when Andor opens.
Yeah.
Because Andor's only going to have 4 weeks.
Right.
Every week is 3 episodes. So that's the thing, Ray. Like every week is 3 episodes, and those 3 episodes represent 1 year.
I see.
Right? So it'll be interesting to see. All right. What's next?
Okay, Joe Hallen says, my question is, did you see the clip for Alien Earth over the weekend? What did you think? I loved it.
No, didn't. I am looking forward to Alien Earth. I never thought I'd look forward to an Alien thing again, and then Alien Romulus came out and totally redeemed itself. So I have not seen the new clip, but I am looking forward to seeing the show.
All
right,
right.
what's next?
Nathan says, do you think we'll see a Disney pullback on live action adaptations of animation classics moving forward? I personally enjoy adaptations of The Sword and the Stone, or would enjoy adaptations of The Sword and the Stone or The Black Cauldron.
Nobody would go see them, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, is there one in particular you think would translate into live action?
Not of those two. At least not that I think would be successful. Listen, whenever, again, the recency bias thing. Whenever something comes out that's a big success, everybody ignores all the failures before and goes, now this is what they need to do. And then when something comes out that kind of falls on its face, it's like, they can never go back to that. Guys, listen. Lilo and Stitch is coming. That movie, I'm going to tell you right now, is going to make a hell of a lot of money. I think it'll be $1 billion film, but even if it's not, Lilo and Stitch, I can tell you right now, is going to make a lot of money. So then the discussion will change, right? Lilo and Stitch will come out. It'll make a ton of money. He's like, now they need to make more live action adaptations. So listen, I don't think they're going to be totally negatively swayed by a negative result like Snow White. I don't think they're going to be overly persuaded by a mass positive response like I think we're going to get from Lilo and Stitch. It's way too early to be throwing out stuff like that. So, but listen, here's the truth though. They're running out of films to live action adapt. Right? They're running out of movies to do live action adaptations of. There's not much, like, what do they got left? Sleeping Beauty? I don't know that a lot of people are looking forward to a live action Sleeping Beauty. I mean, what else is there?
Isn't there like Ratatouille and things like that?
That's Pixar stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Not the Disney animated classics, right?
Yeah, I don't think they'll do live action stuff of the 3D animated stuff.
I mean,
Lion King basically was the 3D animated.
Morgo just brought up an interesting one, Tangled. Oh yeah, Maleficent was Sleeping Beauty. So there you go. Sorry, I totally forgot. Good point. I totally forgot about that.
On it, but yeah.
Tangled's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
mean, someone said Frozen, but I don't know.
I don't know that you can do
they're
Frozen live action.
Right.
They're doing
the musical stuff.
We got Frozen 3 coming out, so they're not going to do live action Frozen anytime soon.
They've done iterations of Peter Pan. They didn't do great.
Anyway. All right, what's next?
All right. King Daddy Goat. Hey, crew. Hope the weekend was great. I saw Novocaine over the weekend, and within a few minutes, I noticed a small detail of the little stopper in the shower, and I just thought there were so many moments like that. I appreciated the attention to detail. Have you guys seen it?
Oh, yeah. We've reviewed it here on the channel. I really liked Novocaine. I thought it was fun. One of the really cool things right away, also in the shower, was that he had you know how for a lot of showers, you just have the one knob you turn to make the water either hot or cold. And he's got a built-in stopper so that the dial doesn't go past it, because he won't know if the water's too hot and he's giving himself second-degree burns, right? Little details like that in it, I thought were really kind of clever. And again, I liked the trailers for Novocaine. I expected to enjoy it. It was a better film than I was even hoping. It's not going to end up in my top 5, top 10 films of the year, but it's a fun little movie. I enjoyed it quite. I mean, it's got some real stupid stuff in it too that prevents it from ever getting into the top 10 of the year, but it's a fun little film and I recommend people check it out. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Todd says, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but if you could direct any type of movie out there, money isn't an issue, what would you create?
Well, probably a Star Wars film, obviously. I mean, Star Wars is my life. It's been kind of a cornerstone of my entire adolescent development and everything. So yes, if I was just offered it and money was no object and they said it could do anything, it would absolutely be a Star Wars movie.
There you go.
No doubt. And it would probably end up being really bad, but I would do it and have a lot of fun doing it.
I got a couple for you right here before we go. They haven't done a Hunchback, have they?
Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I think there has been a live action version of Hunchback before there was ever an animated one.
What about Hercules?
We've had, The Rock starred as Hercules.
Oh, right.
Kevin Sorbo was Hercules. Arnold Schwarzenegger was Hercules.
Okay. But we're talking about like Disney, like direct remakes, right?
Well, didn't the Russo brothers, weren't they signed up at one point to do a live action Hercules, version of the animated one?
Possibly.
I'm almost positive there was.
And one last one, Pocahontas. Is that something? I never saw it, so I never watched it, so I don't know if that story can relate to, or would it be something that...
They could do a Pocahontas. Yeah, they could do a Pocahontas. Yeah,
well, that's one of the last ones they have.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Jay Thomas, there was out of all the Herculeses I mentioned, Lou Ferrigno's Hercules. Forgot about Lou Ferrigno. So there have been many live action, but I thought I remember that the Russo brothers were supposed to be doing at least producing a live action adaptation of the Disney Hercules animated film.
And two cool ones, even though you guys said no 3D stuff. I think Big Hero 6 and Monsters Inc.
I don't think you can do Monsters Inc. live action.
No? You don't think they can get a little gross?
I think you could do,
but there's only one live action character.
I know.
I think you could maybe do that.
The whole movie would be animated with one live action character. I mean, so I don't think you can.
You'd only do Toy Story if it was like a horror movie. That's Pixar,
Toy Story live action would be
but that's
cool.
Pixar.
But again, 90% if you try to do a Toy Story live action,
Right.
90% of it is just there's no human character in it, right? So it'd be difficult.
It'd still just be like, yeah.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. By the way, guys, this is our last week before CinemaCon.
Dang.
Guys, we are going to be covering the crap out of CinemaCon. Of course, me, Ray.
Literally.
Yeah, me,
Literally.
Ray,
All the
Rob,
crap coming out.
and of course, our friend Olympic gold medalist Cody Miller's coming along with us. We're going to be doing coverage of all things CinemaCon. Every day we're going to be doing live streams. Yep.
You know, Cody, he's not driving there. He's going to be swimming right next to us.
He's going to be swimming right along.
Yeah, baby.
Although
Look at
there
that.
is no waterway to
Don't
get to
joke.
Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a landlocked state, but he'll figure it out. You know, his mom lives there.
Oh,
His mom lives in Vegas. So he's going to fly into Vegas to visit his mom and then
Oh,
come
that's
join us
great.
at the hotel.
a good
Cannot
deal.
wait. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about some CinemaCon stuff this week as well, so looking forward to that. Anyway, I want to thank, of course, Chris Carr for being here on the show, Ray Ora,
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.